Do, 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 la, da, 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 da. We live, yo. Letting the Discord know. Well, hello, Commodore, and hello, Crafters. Everybody may know me. I'm Big D. And welcome back to Taco Tuesday, y'all. Sorry about missing last week. It has been... there we go. It has been a crazy couple of weeks. Let me tell you. But we are back to normal, I guess. At least as normal as we're going to get around here. Nom. How y'all doing? So, we don't have a lot to cover today, but we got a couple things I'm very passionate to cover today. So, I am excited about the show. Hello, Tina. Tina, I have a mask for you. I got to get with you, but I got a mask for you. You are all fixed and good to go. So let's get into it. So let's start off with what's on the bench. Well, let's start off by showing you the base for the figure that I'm currently working on. I have a number of things, but this is the number one thing I want to work on right now. So that's the base. Here are the legs with a nice coat of oily metal on them. Still got a lot of detail work. That's just a base coat. But these are the legs, little pinholes in the bottom to mount them to that base. It's substantially weighted. And here is the torso. Hey, Zane. This is the torso that'll be going on this base. Yes, I'm working on it alongside other projects. And then here is the armor plating that goes on top, along with leg armor 1, leg armor 2, and then the guns. So yeah, he is primed. The pins are in place for this thing, so these are ready to be glued as soon. I'm going to be painting them separately. The silver of the body, the undercarriage of the body is going to be silver. I'll be doing a lot of different coats and rusts and stuff underneath there. I miss you all the time, Zane. I love you, man. Miss you all the time. Greg, good to see you, buddy. But you may notice that I did do this in a gloss black along with this carapace, that I've done these in a gloss black. And that's because they are base coated with a gloss black so that I can put a color shifting paint over the top of that. It asks to be put on a gloss black to get the maximum effect. So both this leg and the main carapace are going to be a color shifting paint. And then the toes, the crotch armor, some of the upper body armor, and the leg armor are going to be the secondary color. And there's going to be a lot of golds and whatnot. And there'll be some golds and silvers. There's a lot going on with this build. What's that? Must have spilt something on my board here. Huh. Oh, no resin on there. He's perfectly dry. Must have just had something spilled on the board. All right. So yeah, all the main sub-assemblies are done and built, and then these guys just got to get their individual paint jobs done. Then once the legs are done and the board are painted, the legs will be mounted onto here, and then I'll start putting the individual pieces on there. So I'm super happy with it. I'm a little frustrated with the base because the base keeps warping, and I have to keep cracking it a little bit and re-straightening it. And when I crack it and re-straighten it, it's fine. But it's just, there's one spot that it keeps re-warping. And it's supposed to be plastic. It's a plastic base, so it shouldn't be warping. But I guess because of all the different layers of cork and glue on there, it's warping a little bit. So we're going to do what we can to fix that. So that's the main thing I've been working on. I'm also, because I'm in an escalation league, I'm trying to get a couple pieces up and going in my Death Guard. I'm working on some Chaos Spawn at the moment, as well as some Possessed and a Lord of Virulence. I've got a bunch of Death Guard I'm working on. So that's the big thing. I got to get this done and the Death Guard done, along with my next project, which is the terrain for Necrons, which is about half done with the filming already. I should have had the terrain board video up, but my footage went bad on one part. So I just got to refilm the glory shot at the back of the piece. I'll probably film it after the stream tonight. I would have done it last night, but I was too damn tired. It just was a long, long weekend and a long, long day. So I'm going to try and film it today after the stream, and then we'll get that up. The rest of the video is ready to go. So I'll show you guys how I got that Nurgle/swamp board going. Just in time for us to be doing 750s and 1000s and our escalation league. I hopefully will get some time to actually do 2 more so I can have a 2,000 point board. Because it doesn't actually take long to do. If I'm not stopping in between steps to film and everything, it actually goes, it's like a day and a half project to do 2 boards. So that's the hope. Get those other 2 done. And then I got to get working on my Necrons, because I've got some Necron stuff that I've been waiting to hold off on. But the problem is these guys have really been screaming at me. Like bad, like super bad screaming at me. So I'm looking at them, and I look at their layouts, I look at their stuff, and basically you run them as guard. And I only have 36 in the box, so that's enough for 3 squads plus 3 heavy weapons units. So that's really not enough to do a full army out of. So I might want to deal with them, but I don't want to deal with them. I went out to eBay to see if I could score a couple more boxes of these guys. Yeah, no. Holy crap. Somebody was selling a sprue with 4 guys on it, and they wanted $40 for it. I'm like, oh, hell no. And then I remembered I got a 3D printer. So I found some STLs. So it's definitely not a project I want to get dumped into now, because I got to get some of this crap off my table. Oh, I've got a bunch of Death Guard stuff to do. I still have a couple Space Wolves to do that are just kind of like waiting to be done. I've got a huge Slaanesh demon army that I got to get to work on. That is 1/2 of it's built and primed, and I haven't even touched it since I primed it. I came to a really crazy realization. You know, last year I did 550 figures in a year. We are at near the end of February. We are nearing the end of month 2. And I have painted to completion exactly 0 figures. Not one. I've got 4 or 5 that I've got about half done. Actually, I've probably got more than that are half done. But I really haven't actually painted any complete figures so far in 2021. Which, for me, is crazy. Good on you, Phoenix. I painted up some Death Guard and their like base coats because I needed some squirters for a fight. But that's it. You know, they're painted. Mr. Meeks. Hello, sir. Yeah, I mean, they're painted. They're not done. I would not consider them done. They're good enough to go on a table. They would meet what they call battle standard. That's not done. I haven't done nearly enough work on them. So I'm just like, no, they're not done. So I've got a bunch of Death Guard I got to get to. Yeah, I haven't done any real painting. I was building this guy and I was printing some other stuff and I've been building and I've been building and I've been building. I do 2 terrain boards count as 2 figures? Yeah, you got to finish your New Year Tukari. I haven't even started my New Year, New Army. I've got this. Okay, so I have a full Indomitus box of Necrons. And then I have 2, I think I have 2 Command Edition halves of Necrons. Yeah, I think it's 2 Command Editions. And I printed out 6 bikes. So, you know, they're little circular bikes. I printed out 6 of them just to give them a shot and see if I like them. If I like them, I might buy them or I might print more. I don't know. So yeah, I just realized that I haven't really painted anything to completion lately. But that's on the bench. I mean, that's what's going on. I got a lot of stuff. $500 points done real quick for the medal. What medal are you talking about there, Tina? Is GW doing some New Year, New Army giveaway thing? You know, Phoenix, it'd be nice if you did. Because you having 500 points of sisters have to be done by a specific point, Tina? Because I think if you get 500 points of sisters there, Phoenix, we get you with 500 points of sisters, and we get either Lady D with 500 points of Drukari or 500 points of her salamanders, which at this point I think it's 500 points of Drukari is going to be faster. But then we get the 2 you on a table and maybe film a how-to game and just, you know, go over the very basics of 40K with the 2 of you and make a tutorial for all those wonderful people out there like you that are exploring this hobby for the first time. He never mentioned it to me, though, bastard. So that's what I got going on. Zane, you don't even need to go there, man. I realized last year that my experiment into Imperial Guard did 3,000 points. They weren't even supposed to be New Year, New Army. I'm just like, I'm going to just do some Imperial Guard. 3,000 points. What happened? The hell? You know, I was fooling around with the idea and ended up with 3,000 points of Imperial Guard. And now I'm looking at a Baneblade. Damn it. All right, so let's talk about GW. Let's talk about what's going on with Games Workshop. All right, so Killteam Pariah Nexus. So everything we've seen so far, and should be all new figures. I mean, we're talking the heavy intercessors are going to be in this box. The new plastic flayed ones are going to be in this box. There's going to be a bunch of new terrain in this box. And we're basically going to see something that looks like Arena, or I forget the name of the box, but there's a box that they did 2 years ago now for Killteam that had the that had like the Starfarers and these guys, these and then these guys, these space poxy dudes. And it's going to have a new rule book and a whole bunch of new stuff in there. And it looks like that is going on pre-sale this weekend. Wow. So a lot of the maybe not Zane, because remember I'm doing Necrons too. That Plague Child has not been in the figures lately. They want to work on their army, but they just haven't been motivated. They're trying to get through stuff so they can graduate high school, and that's all they're worried about. We can get to more at some other point. So I'm looking at going, well, let me back up a second. So this kit looks really good. The rules, it should be fun. It should be a new way to play Killteam, very similar to the Starship map, or very similar to the well, that's the thing, Kami. It's very similar to the stuff that came in Arena. Keep in mind that in this new thing, it's like you're going to be running through catacombs. So it's hard to say. I mean, because the Killteam is what it is, I'm all right with that. It depends on the price point of the box. But that being said, a lot of the Killteam specific chat boards and a couple of the dedicated Killteam video channels, like Glass Half Dead, one of my personal favorites. One of the things they're talking about is that this box is getting released, and the individual kits, which sounds about right for what they're doing these days. The individual kits, though, haven't been announced to be released yet. So 160 for this box, but the heavy intercessors and the flayed ones aren't going to be released right away. So they're going to be exclusive to this box. So a lot of competitive players are going to be buying this box specifically for those heavy intercessors and potentially the flayed ones. Heavy intercessors, though, as a troop choice in heavy armor, carrying a heavy bolter. Wow. A lot of them are suggesting that, yeah, well, it's not even just Indominus all over again. The difference is, Kami. The difference is they know it's a limited market. They know it's a limited market. And we're going to be talking about Indominus in a couple minutes here, so give me a second. They know it's going to be a limited market, but a lot of people in these Killteam are thinking to not try and muscle in into the box set. Because let the competitive people buy the box sets. We have the figures. We already have most of the figures we want. It's one squad of 2 factions that we don't have. But other than that, 90% of us that play Killteam already have all the figures we want to play with. We can wait on a couple weeks because it's not a competitive game right now. But those kits are going to be on eBay right away for dirt cheap because people are going to buy them, get the figures out of them, and then sell the figures or keep the figures for competitive teams, but they're going to sell the figures for a huge markup, and they're going to sell the box sets for pretty cheap because it's just Killteam. And that may be the way to go. If I can score a box set with the terrain and the rule books and the boards, minus the 2 sets of figures for half the price, I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. I don't need a squad of flayed ones and a squad of heavy intercessors right now. I don't need them. But I want that box set. If I can get the box set with everything except for the figures at half price, maybe even less, $75, depending on how eBay goes, I'll take that in a heartbeat. So I'm going to keep an eye on eBay for this one. I might not dump the 160 on the box. We'll see. At the same time, GW announced that they're going to be doing the Royal Court for the Necrons, and I forget what they're called, but basically the Veteran Squad. And basically they're going to be the exclusive new figures that haven't been released yet from the Indominus box, and the exclusive figures for the Necrons and for the what do you call it? The Space Marines. And they're going to be releasing them in kits. And it's going to be a direct only box. You have to go buy it directly from GW. And it's going to be like 140 for one of them and 120 for the other one of them. And I'm like, that's $260. Really? $260? I can right now go to Amazon and buy a complete Indominus box for $100 less than that. I can go to about a dozen mom and pop stores within easy driving distance of my house and pick up an Indominus box for $200. That includes all the figures and another copy of the rule book. Why in the hell would I buy that? Why in the hell would anybody buy that? Indominus is easy to get right now. It's still, they overproduced it. It got bought up by all these, by all those secondary retailers. And then they went and did another round of orders and reprinted it. Indominus is easy to get your hands on right now. To put them at that high a price. And the problem is that if you break it down by the model price, the prices are dead on accurate. I mean, individual figures for characters are $35 a piece now. Yeah, well, I call it secondary market because some of them aren't scalpers, Commodore. That's the problem. Some of them aren't scalpers. Some of them are guys that just, that's their business. They run a minis business. And that just happened to be when Indominus came out, they bought 10 copies. And they bought 10 copies for their store. And then they got 5 copies when Indominus came out. And they were told, we'll get the other 5 in a couple of weeks. So they got their 5 copies. They sold their 5 copies. And then GW said, oh, we'll put more on there. I don't disagree with you. You're not going to get me to argue with you on whether or not the price is ridiculous. I have been saying for a while now, GW's price point for character figures is ridiculous. 35 to 40 bucks for an individual character model. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. 60 bucks for a box of intercessors for a basic troop choice. 60 freaking bucks is ridiculous for 10 dudes. I mean, yes, GW figures are high quality. They're good figures. They're nice figures. They're pretty figures. They're big, expressive figures with lots of detail, and they're great to paint. And these are all true statements. You know who else makes really good figures that are really pretty and really nice? Everybody else out there. Maybe not everybody's as good as GW, but when they can sell individual figures at $4 a figure or $3.50 a figure, or a squad box is being 35 bucks. 10 dudes in a box for 35 bucks of a basic troop. One of my guys, Technor Studios on Instagram, he and I were talking about this. We're in a group chat that we were talking about the whole price point with GW figures. And I honestly believe, I mean, yeah, GW is financially it's hard not to, Zane. I mean, here's the thing. I love the hobby. I love the game. I love everything about it. Like I said, he and I were talking about this, and their price points, especially for character models, which normally aren't even all that really different sometimes from regular figures. I mean, if you look at the lieutenant, the Primaris lieutenant that's from Dark Imperium, it's a $35 figure. It looks like an intercessor with an arm stretched out with a sword and a bolt pistol. No, it might be but it's like, that's a $35 figure. He's plain, he's boring, he's normally just like, hey, I'm a dude. 35 bucks. Screw that. I'm finding it hard to defend their price points. To see how much the prices have gone up. You know, and that's the thing. It's just the price point have gotten to the point where, I mean, if I can't get a decent deal on a price, I mean, what's the point? I look at these combat patrol boxes. I mean, honestly, if you're playing Space Marines in any way, shape, or form, the Blood Angels combat patrol box, point for point, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, is the best box out there. It's $140 for about $250 worth of figures. If they can sell that kit for $140, that should tell you what their internal markup is. Because don't believe that they're not making a profit on that $140 box. It's really hard. It's really hard to look at it and justify the prices they charge and the things they do. I love the hobby. I love the game. I love playing it. I love painting. I love building. But it's like, come on, guys. We're going to keep knocking up prices. And then they put out really good stuff like this Pariah Nexus. This Pariah Nexus looks really, really good. Every review I've seen, the rules I've seen, everything, it looks awesome. It's $160, which I think is on a par with the starter. Although I think the starter might even be $140. And they're reprinting a bunch of their battle zones that they were out of print. There's a couple of those I want that have a unique building that what do you call it? The Sector Frontiers has unique terrain in it you can't get anywhere else. That they've never offered it as a separate kit. It's only the Sector Frontier. So I'm probably going to buy one or two of those because you can't get it, and it's not an easy one that I could reproduce. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I can still look at the starter box at 100 or at 90 without the terrain in it. And look at even with the 150 with all that terrain, it's worth it. It's a great starter box now. But I mean, it's just at some point you just kind of go, guys, how are you justifying these prices? How in the hell are you justifying these prices? They put out that hero pack of all the hero characters from Dark Imperium, along with a 5-man intercessor squad that was unique to the Dark Imperium. They're push-fit models. Of course they're unique. They never reproduced them. They're push-fit models for the Marines, and they marked up the price. I mean, the price on them was like $75 for 8 dudes. Come on now. And 5 of them are intercessors. Come on now. Really? $75 for 8 dudes? Well, you can't get the guy. You can't get the Primaris banner character, or what do you think? Primaris agent anywhere. I put a stick and a flag on a dude. Oh no, it was 75. I remember that. It was 75. But it was still 8 dudes. 8 push fit figures for $75. I can still go out on the freaking eBay and buy the half, the Space Marine half of Dark Imperium, which includes a lot more figures. And I can get it for like $100. Why would I spend $75 and just get 3 character figures and 5 push fit intercessors? Why would I spend $75 on that? Why would anyone? Yeah, I mean the Gravis Captain, geez. Shannon's got one, Lady D's got one. I've got 3 of them. Just because I bought a couple of No Fear box. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I will vote my wallet. That's the thing. I have a huge army at this point. And that's, I guess, part of the reason why I'm not such a big deal about buying regular figs. I mean, yeah, you make a good point, Tina. If people, they wouldn't be marking the price if people weren't paying it. Yeah, the problem is that we had over the last year, we had about an interspersed 6-month period where people couldn't get figures. And people went through their backlogs and they went through their stuff on their back shelf and they painted a lot of stuff. And when they would have stuff out and available, it would be snapped up in a heartbeat. And it's funny because they marked up prices on everything in that period of time as well. So they definitely used the scarcity of COVID to their financial gain. I don't know. And I'm a sucker for it too. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I'll be buying Pariah Nexus, whether or not I buy it new or I go to eBay and buy it minus the figures. I don't know, but I will be doing that. And the other big thing that I'm super hyped for, I'll be buying it absolutely new, is the new Warhammer Quest Cursed City. It's supposed to be coming out next month. I missed Blackstone Fortress. I didn't get in right at the beginning. I missed a couple of the first expansions, and now they're impossible to get. If you want to get the Dreaded Amble expansion, it's like $200 on eBay. It's like, why? It's one dude. It's a $40 figure, and you're charging $200 for it. Forget that noise. So as much as I wanted to get in the Blackstone Fortress, I'm not going to do that because that's one of those things that they print a limited number of each of the things, and then that's it. So I figure instead, I'm going to get into Cursed City, and I'm going to buy it from Ground Zero. I'm going to buy the base box set and every expansion that comes out. I'm going to buy it all. That way I have the complete game. And it's a game I'm going to be able to play with a bunch of my non-Warhammer friends. I have a bunch of friends that are super into board games. And the game looks great. Is it a 200 kit? I don't think it's going to be a 300 kit. The more they show, the more I'm convinced it's not going to be a 300 kit. And whoever got that number that fed me that number of 300, I think they're full of shit. It looks more and more. There were 44 figures in Blackstone Fortress. There's 42 in Cursed City. Other than that, the two boxes are comparable. Blackstone Fortress is 160. I'm thinking Warhammer Quest is going to be in the 160 to 175 range. I would be willing to pay up to $200 for it. I will admit as much. But I know what I'm getting into there. I'm thinking it's going to be like a 160, 175 price range. And that's fine. I'll get it. That's when I'll jump out right away and get. And as soon as the expansions come out for that one, I'll be pre-ordering just to make sure that I get all the expansions for it. But I was showing it to Lady D. She apologized. She's not here tonight. Her new management job has her on her feet a lot. And she just comes home and is so dead, so wiped. She just, I want to go to bed. So she does apologize. She loves you guys so much. I'm worried about the price too. But I honestly, I think it's going to be like 160, 175. And I mean, Common is going to be playing it. So if I have a copy or he has a copy, we'll be playing it. It means Phoenix will be playing it. Lady D will be playing it. Plague Child will be playing it. A couple other friends I have will be playing it. Yes, no feet, buddy. No feet. She puts them in her knee-high boots all day. When she comes home, she takes off the boots and the feet want to die. So she's done. I think, though, because of the prices I've seen and things jump up in price this year and where I'm at in the hobby, I think this year is going to be a good year for terrain. I think I'm going to be able to get a lot more terrain done than I expected. Or at least get everything I planned to get done. Plus, it's not like I'm hurting for figures. It's not like I'm hurting for stuff to do. I've got plenty of stuff on my backlog. I've got a whole bunch of the old 90s stuff and late 80s stuff. I'm going and picking up the third and final shipment of that this weekend as well, which will include a Baneblade. The original Baneblade kit, apparently. So, or the original plastic Baneblade kit. So, we'll see. Excited about that. So yeah. Cursed City looks really good. I like the idea of having a replayable board game. Eventually, I'm going to be getting to some of my other projects. I've got a bunch of other projects going on right now. Everything's kind of in holding between Lady D's new job and my hours at work and my own time commitments. I've got committed to a lot of stuff right now, so I end up not having as much time. couple people in my Discord have even mentioned it because I haven't been around as much lately. I'm not at the desk as often, or at least I'm not at the desk dealing with minis as much. Dealing with just other stuff. And it's not a big deal. It's not like I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything. I love this hobby and I want to get more in the hobby. I don't have the time that I did last year. Yeah, you're fine, Zane. Yeah, it's been crazy. Like I haven't had the time. That league kills like half or most of my Saturdays. Nah, Zane, you're fine. You're good. No one's going to... We don't want to banhammer you anymore if we can avoid it, because we're going to get one of your accounts. There's going to be an extra character for CC sold separately with Italian novel. Oh, that's cool. I mean, it's a good excuse to read a book. And it's, a figure. Yay, another figure. It's a $40 figure probably. Or normally them, it'll be like a $60 figure because the book will be like $40 and the figure, it's a deal. We'll give it to you, the two of them for $60. What? Yeah. I'm sorry. I tried reading. I had some time to read lately, so I've tried to read a bit of their fiction, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because I know there are people that really like the Warhammer fiction. I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. I got through like one chapter of a book and I was just like, oh my God, this is taking forever and I'm getting nowhere with it. And so I said, well, maybe it's just this book. So I picked up a different book and I'm trying to read something and it's not much different. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And I love reading. And just to confirm, I wasn't like messing up or anything. I sat down and I read through 3 of the why can't I think of him? The 3 Jim Butcher, the Wizard That Lives in Chicago novels. I read like the first 3 of his books. I'm blanking on it right now. I'm tired myself. But I read the first 3 of his books. I reread them and they were great. And I was like, yeah, these are awesome. And I went back and tried to read more Warhammer. I'm like, no. And it's funny because I like science fiction like more than anything else. And I was just like, oh, this is like chewing granola that you haven't put the milk in. It's just like, wow. And then it doesn't help that because of some things going on in my life, good things. I've started working on a novel. I'm for the first time in 10 years, I'm finally motivated to start writing again. So I started cracking into a new novel. Here's the thing. It's funny, from a British perspective, the stuff that they write for kids is a lot better written than the stuff we in America write for the kids. So it might be more digestible. I don't know. Because I'm going to commit some heresy right now. I don't like Lord of the Rings. I find it very boring. I find it very slow and very boring and very dry to read. I was just like, I liked The Hobbit when I was a kid because it was my first real experience with fantasy fiction. And I got into it at the same time that the Rankin Bass Hobbit animated movie came out. So I was like reading the book and watching the movie and reading the book and watching the movie and reading the book and watching the movie and going back and forth. And that was cool. and that was it. But as I got older, I'm like, it was more of a nostalgia thing. I'm not really a fan. The concept is great. The movies are fine. I mean, it's the thing. I read all the books. Don't get me wrong. I read all the books. I read The Hobbit. I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I read the Silmarillion. Whoa. Now there's some tough reading. Oh, man. That makes like those books of the Bible where all they do is they talk about and so begot so and so begot so and so. That makes the Silmarillion makes that part of the Bible seem like good reading, because the Silmarillion was just like, oh my god. But I read it because I committed to reading it. I'm a fantasy author. I'm a fantasy reader. I'm a fantasy player. I had to read it. You got to once, maybe not anymore. I don't think so. And yeah, I don't like them. They're just, they're so slow and they're paced so slow. And they describe everything in absolute detail. And I mean, that's not a bad thing, but that's just his style. But oh my God, stop, Tolkien. Jewish, his beard was gray. It was fine. I didn't need to know that the wisps of his gray curled and unfurled with each breath as he puffed it. Yeah, just, oh my God. It was just so. And the problem is that I think that's literally the difference between British fiction and American fiction. Because American fiction is meant to be chewy but gotten through quickly. British fiction seems like it's meant to be picked up and chewed and digested, and then we pick up the next bite and we chew and we digest it. And Americans like, it's the fucking Doritos, man. Man, this is awesome. Turn the page, give me some more Doritos. And I think that's really the difference between the two styles of fiction. I think it's really apparent when you look at, say, the difference between reading some of the Gothic stuff that the British authors wrote in, like Frankenstein or Bram Stoker's Dracula or similar fiction, as compared to American fiction in the Gothic style, say, of Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote in snippets. Now, you see, here's the funny thing. I'm going to tell you, Phoenix, Anne Rice, in my opinion, is a hit or miss author. Like, Ramses the Damned is probably my favorite book that she wrote. Like, take all those stop books and set them aside. Her book, Ramses the Damned, is short, fast-paced, lots of action, lots of emotional grip. It's just a phenomenal book. I love Ramses the Damned. I wasn't a fan of the very first, The Interview with a Vampire, but the second book, Vampire Lestat, I liked. Queen of the Damned, once I realized that she was casting threads and then was going to pull them all together in the end. Once I realized that's what she was doing, I was like, okay, I can see this now. I'll admit, the first third of the book I was going through, she's just all over the place here. It took me about that long to realize that she was casting threads to pull everything together at the end. And that was pretty cool. I dug that. And then she did Tale of the Body Thief, which I don't know how I got through that book. That book was so bad. The Tale of the Body Thief was just terrible, just awful fiction. And then she did Memnon the Devil. And there are portions and visuals that she describes in that book. There are mental states and parts of that book that are just, as a writer, I was like, holy crap, that's a beautiful piece of fiction in that book. There's a portion in Memnon the Devil where Lestat feels like he's dying, and he's dying of hunger, and he needs blood. And he's approaching this girl that's kind of his lover. She's the daughter of a televangelist that he kind of has a non-sexual relationship with. It's a very weird situation in the book. If you haven't read it, it's a really interesting book. There are parts of it where there's a lot of verbal diarrhea, but there are other parts which are really good. The scene where he's like crawling on the floor and she's transfixed looking at him, and he's crawling on the floor to get to her, and there's a whole mental of him trying to come to grips with the area around him and what he's seeing and what he's feeling and everything he's sensing off of her. That's fabulous. Just an incredible concept when you go by her world laws of the vampires being these ultimate predatory, almost animals at nature because of the demon that they were created from. It's real because he's that far down. It's a really incredible description of his mental state and his emotional state and everything he gets. That sequence, and it's like next to the last chapter of the book, that piece, I haven't read the book in 20 years, and that piece, I can still picture lines out of that. I can still picture the verbal description she made of what's going on and his mental dialogue. I can still picture that scene so sharply because how well she described that scene. And then I go back to Tale of the Body Thief and just go, what a piece of garbage. I mean, that book is just like, I just want to pick it up and chuck it across the room. I hated it. I hated that book. It was such a horrible follow-up to Queen of the Damned. Once you realize, like I said, when you realize Queen of the Damned is just coming together, once you realize that's the movie, that's the story, it's really good. It's just, if you're not expecting that in the first third of the book, you're like, what the hell is going on? What am I reading? So, Anne Rice, I think, is hit or miss. I read some of her other stuff. I didn't care for it. Her witch diaries or whatever the heck they're called. I hated her witch books. But again, Ramses the Damned is probably one of my favorite books of all time. It's such a good read. It's a book I can pick up at any time and just sit and flip through read because it's so good. Stephen King, for me, is hit or miss. And a lot of that's because I don't enjoy the horror genre. It's not my genre. So it's weird. My favorite books in his series are the ones that are more psychological horror than weird mystical crap. Like, honestly, Dolores Claiborne is a phenomenal book to me because there's nothing magical, nothing mystical, nothing weird going on in that book. It's a story about a woman and this life she's lived and all the shit she's lived through. And Dolores Claiborne's a great book. Nothing weird about it. It's just a story. The Stand. Oh, I like The Stand. I actually really like The Stand. There's a little bit of mystical stuff in there, but that's almost like a modern fantasy novel. That's not really a horror book, in my opinion. I like Cujo. I thought Cujo was great. I think he really captured. It was interesting when he wrote. There's an entire. Well, there's a couple chapters, but there's one entire chapter that is written from Cujo's point. Actually, there's two I know of, because there's one written from his point of view before he gets rabies, and one from his point of view after he gets rabies. And it's just interesting seeing a chapter written from a dog's point of view. That's, as a writer, is a phenomenally hard task to write. And I think he did it well. But there's also a lot of his stuff that I'm just not a fan. Again, not a fan. It's not my genre. I'm not a horror reader. I'm more of a science fiction reader. And I don't find that there are many writers in modern era that are perfect. I don't think there is such thing as a perfect writer. There are a couple in my mind that come close. But I know there's at least one writer that I absolutely love. I consider him like one of the people I strive to write like. And I know a lot of people don't like his books. They like his concepts, but don't like some of the ways he writes things. And that's Philip K. Dick. I think he's probably one of the most brilliant writers that's ever lived. Between Philip K. Dick and William Gibson, they're, to me, they're my Steinway and my Steinbeck and my Hemingway. They're, to me, that good. And let me say, I love Steinbeck and Hemingway. I love the two of them. Something amazing. But William Gibson and Philip K. Dick are phenomenal writers. If you haven't read the Neuromancer trilogy, don't go by the movie, because the movie was fun, but the movie had nothing to do with it. Not even close to the book. If you get the chance to read the Neuromancer book, or any of what he calls the Sprawl series, so Neuromancer, Burning Chrome, and Mona Lisa Overdrive, phenomenal books if you're into the cyberpunk genre. Philip K. Dick, you can pick up anything by him, and I think he's just absolutely to die for. But again, they're very American writers. What's that, Tina? What was awesome? Philip K. Dick. I mean, he's been converted. Oh, Neuromancy. Oh, Snow Crash. Yeah, now Snow Crash. What's it? Snow Crash, Diamond Age, and there's a third book in that series. That's the Neil Stephenson. Neil Stephenson. He's another really good writer. Very, very much a really great writer. I'm more of his satirical stuff, the bit of weird humor he injects in there. Sometimes a little much for me, like the ninja pizza delivery dude. I was like, where are we going with that? I was like, where are we going with the ninja pizza delivery dude? I don't know. But I mean, William Gibson, I haven't read a single book of his that I haven't loved. I literally, The Liberator. Yeah, I know. There's literally hasn't been a book by William Gibson I haven't loved. And the same could be said for Philip K. Dick. And Philip K. Dick, he is responsible for some of the most memorable science fiction movies of the last 50 years. Well, at least the last 40 years, because they're based on his short stories or his novels. Blade Runner is based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Total Recall is based on Philip K. Dick's Your Memories at Wholesale Price, I think is the name of the piece of it. Gosh, what do you call it? The is it Vanilla Sky? Minority Report. I mean, oh God, I'm trying to even think. I mean, there's so many of them, I can't even think of them as they're just crashing, and there's so many things. Plus, he has a series on, I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's either on Amazon Prime or on Netflix, called Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, where they take 10 of his short stories and they convert them to 1 hour mini films. Absolutely just fabulous. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if you're not familiar with the works of Philip K. Dick, I'm trying to think of it. There's a movie, Philip Dick, that was based on a Philip Dick. Oh gosh, I can't think of it now. But the movie was drawn over. They filmed the movie and then they drew over the top of it. And I mean, this cast is just crazy. It's Woody Harrelson, Robert Downey Jr., and Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder. And this was done in like the mid 2000s. I'm trying to think of the name of it. A Scanner Darkly. Yes, Scanner Darkly. The book is even crazier than the movie. And if you've seen the movie's absolutely nuts. The book's even a little crazier. It's such a good story. So Dan Brown. Yeah, no, the Dan Brown books are great. And but that's what I'm saying. Again, you're looking at very American literature. And I think that's exactly it. Hi, Al, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, my brother. I love you. I miss you, man. I love you. Good to hear from you. And I think that's a big thing. I really enjoy American literature. One of the problems I have with trying to read the Games Workshop literature, it's very British. So it's just, like I said, it's just so chewy. You have to completely digest it before you really get it. And I can't get into it that much. But I like their kids fiction. Like, I love the Harry Potter books. Yeah, those are written for kids. Man, there's a bigger adult following in Harry Potter than there is for kids over here. It's crazy. The difference between American kids fiction and British kids fiction is so different. It's crazy. So, yeah, if you get a chance, read something, Dan Brown books, Philip K. Dick, William Gibson. Gosh, who's the other one I really like that I've been... Ben, you are absolutely right. That is the other problem. The way they write their books, that's an absolutely good point. Like, I don't know if I know that one. I have to look if I know him. I think a perfect example, going back to my youth a bit. Zane, be well, my friend, be well. I think one of the best examples is like when I was a kid and late teens, early 20s, I loved the Dragonlance novels. And as a kid, you just look at them because these guys are so cool and so great. And you never really worried about if any of them were going to make it through because you knew they were, until one of them didn't. And then you're like, I mean, I remember putting that book down and walking away for like a day when I was afraid to touch that book again. When they got my boy Sturm, I was like, hang on a second. What'd they just do? Did they... Oh, yes, I'm actually very familiar. I didn't know the name of the author, but I'm very familiar with Red Wall series. They're getting a movie series. or at least a Netflix series based on Redwall. I was just reading about that. But I remember when they killed Sturm, I was like, whoa. And that was the thing. I went back as an adult, and that really was a real change in the books. And that's exactly it, Ben. When they showed that they're willing to kill a main character, and you actually feel like there is actual peril involved, yeah. If somebody has a name in a GW novel and they're a good guy, they're not going to die. Exactly. Now, that was the whole thing. The Star Wars stuff, the extended universe stuff, no one ever died. If they had a name, they didn't ever die. And then suddenly they let a couple of new authors in there, and they kill off the twins, and they kill off the son, and then they threw a planet at Chewbacca and killed him. And it's just like, this isn't Star Wars. What the hell? Yeah. Yeah. I actually was done when they killed Chewie. I was done with the whole. I stopped reading Extended Universe when they killed Chewie. I mean, yeah, he died like a badass. They chucked a moon at him. They had to kill him by hitting him with a moon. But I was done. I'm like, and the problem was the author was one of my more favorite authors in the fantasy, because it was R.A. Salvatore. And I kind of dug the Dritz books at first, although later on they got to be a bit much. But when R.A. Salvatore killed Chewie, I'm like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you now. I like a book that makes me think, but I want to be able to read it without having to fully digest it as well. And that's the biggest problem I have with the GW fiction. So back to what we started. Them selling a figure, a character figure that you can only get with a Black Library novel means I'm going to have a book on my shelf that I can't read. Because I've gotten every time Antonio offers me those samplers, I've taken them. I'm like, yeah, let me try reading something new. Flip. It's granola without milk. It's just tough. It's like grape nuts. It's like grape nuts without the milk, because I love grape nuts. Get some milk, some raisins in there, a little bit of sugar. That's awesome. It's like grape nuts on a dry, hot day. And you got no milk. And that's what GW literature makes me think of. It's like eating kitty litter. You can do it. You don't want to do it, but you can do it. So the Drukhari are getting a box eventually. They're getting that battle box. They showed off the battle box to the sisters. They haven't said anything about it since. They've barely shown anything Drukhari. The Drukhari is supposed to be getting released soon. They've said nothing about it. There's a second coin this month with the Ultramarines. And then they've got a coin next month that's going to be the Orcs. Yeah, I mean, I really want to read the Plague War series. There are pieces of it that were really interesting. And he's probably the guy that writes the Plague War series is probably the best author in that group to read. And then I was going to try and read the new series of novels. It's so hard trying to get into them because they're so dry. And that's the problem I have with them. They're just really dry. I want to be swept up by a book. I want a book to go, I'm going to entertain you. And they don't. I don't get swept into anything. Yeah, and I know that's me. It's not everybody's taste. I know there are people that love the books. Tech Noir loves them books. But you know, everybody has their tastes. So that's what's going on right now. So we were talking earlier about what's up, what's coming up. So I've got some terrain kits. I've got some terrain builds I've got working on. And I got that Kickstarter that I've got cut apart, prepped, and some of it's primed, and I want to get that put together. And with that came a tank, the Wolverine. And it's basically a souped up version of a Imperial personnel carrier. It's an APC with a better gun. And I was just thinking about how I'm going to run that, what I would run it as, because I don't want to use that. I don't want to have that model and not use it. It's too cool to not use. And then this stuff I'm picking up this weekend, there's a second one in there because he was given an extra one, so he's just giving it to me because I put it to use. And that's where I come back to this. My squats. So they're squats. So having a separate tank that looks different from the other tanks, I think is kind of cool for them. And so it's making me think about like their main battle tank. Like, see if I can get them a replacement or equivalent replacement for the Lehman Russ. Because there's a lot of really cool tanks out there. And I've been looking at a couple different prints of some non-GW figures. They're just tanks, but would fit the bill that I'd have a turret and I could mount a front weapon on them and then put two sponsons on the side. Something science fiction-y / World War II-y. So I've got some ideas for that. But that's my thought, is that I want to use some stuff that's obvious what it is, but maybe not GW. So, I mean, there's no way I'll be able to use this. Even though these are GW figs, I won't be able to use them in tournament play. They'd be a fun army to sit down and play. Just, what the hell is that? It's my Imperial Guard. The squats. I even found a figure to act as a replacement for their Ogrins, because the dwarves used to have back in the day at GW, the Ogrins the dwarves had a full lot. They had a full list, and they had exo armor, what they called dwarven exo armor, and it was basically dwarven Terminators without all the guns. They were basically a shield and an axe, like a big space-looking axe. And I found somebody did an STL of those figures. So I might use those as a replacement for the Ogrins with their shield and their combat, whatever it's called, and use them as they're Ogrins. They're just power armor. They're power armor dwarves. And I may have found a source for the old original Sentinel, which is just very weird looking, but I might use that and put some squats in it. It's their version of the Sentinel. So I had some ideas I'm messing around with. I kind of want to make this army like completely unique, but use GW designs on it. So people are like, the heck is this? I mean, there'll be some printing involved. Obviously, it's not going to be a competitive army. It's a labor of love and passion, but and the big thing is I want to do the paint scheme for them something different. Like part of me wants to do the crazy paint scheme that's on the box here, but then I'm like, do I paint the vehicles to match it? Do I make the vehicles that red, yellow, and blue combination? Just bizarre looking. And then I was thinking, well, I could do some of that World War I weird camouflage pattern they did back then. They had these real crazy camouflage patterns they did back in World War I to hide ships and hide how high they were and whatnot. So I might look at that and use that on their vehicles. So I might have to hit my brother up for some ideas on that, because I want to make them look weird and funky, but still look cool. So that being said, and then I got that Bane blade coming, which I'm gonna actually do in my generic. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to paint my Bane blade to look like an M60 American battle tank, and then use the weathering powder, since they're supposed to be thousands of years old. I'm going to use that weathering kit that my brother gave me on it to make this thing look old as hell, like old, dirt old. And like, it's just through love and care that this thing actually still runs. So that being said, we actually a little early tonight, so I'm gonna throw some stuff out to you guys. What are you thinking about? What do you want to talk about? You guys haven't been good about posting things to ask me about. I mean, I love the fact people are, post support, love the channel, love the chat. I want to know what you guys want to talk about. What are you guys thinking? What do you guys think right now of the way prices have been going on and some of the paint stuff that's been going on? Because that's the thing. I've been hearing some stuff about paint. I've been hearing there have been some bad batches of paint, and it wasn't just GW. And somebody thinks it was just because a lot of paints sat for so long because they weren't a critical thing. And I saw that might be an issue. And then there's been a lot going on. Yeah, I wanted to use it on something special, Al. That was the thing. I wanted to use it on something very special. And so this Bane blade, which is a really big tank, I want to put it on there and really make it look cool. And that stuff is it's special, and I don't know how to use it exceptionally well. So I want to do it on something that gives me a lot of gimme to work with. I'm also planning on using it on the World War II tank set I got for Christmas from Commodore. So I want to make them look really cool. But what I was saying, a lot of people have been getting these, what they call vortex shakers, that are basically fingernail polish shakers. You throw a little metal BB in your paint, which you should be doing anyhow, but you throw a little stainless steel BB in your paint, you put on this vortex thing, and it's like, because it's like super high vibration, and it super mixes the crap out of your paint. And it actually made Army Painter paints look good, which I'm going to be honest. Part of me likes Army Painter because they're easy to get, but they're very limited in their regular paints as far as in this point, because they separate so badly and they're so watery. Well, after seeing what one of these vortex mixers did to a bottle of Army Painter, and then it looked really good and was really creamy after they were done, I might have to get one of these vortex things and actually get some Army Painter, because they've got a deal going on right now with their Super Army box. It's like 200 bottles of paint, and they're all different colors, and it's not bad in price. I don't know. I've also discovered Vallejo's pale sand and how that thing can be used to highlight anything. Like, if you don't have Vallejo fine sand or pale sand in your paint kit, go get it. If you're using acrylics, go get it, use it. You can use it to highlight any color. Tina. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I've been noticing the same thing, Phoenix. As many of you know, my wife works at Michael's, and they actually are starting to carry a bit more models now. And I've been noticing the model prices are going up and up and up, like noticeably going up and up and up, even for these little snap fit, these small snap fit, tier 1, tier 2 kits. Oh, that's a good piece of insight, Alex. Thank you. Yeah, that's another thing. AK Interactive. Gosh, one of my favorite stores in town keeps saying that we're going to have it in stock real soon. We're going to have it in stock. I want to try this stuff. I've been hearing some really good things about like their streaking grime and a couple of their other things. And it's like nobody freaking carries this stuff. And half the time I try to go online to get it, it's like, well, you can get it in 3 months or you can get it in a month and a half, 2 months. I'm like, the hell? So that's an interesting point. I got some really great panel liner that I want to use. Who did I just see using the same panel liner on? Oh, Ninjan. Quick thing. Quick thought on here. If anybody has discovered a new channel or rediscovered a channel that's been putting out some good content lately, throw it up here. Throw it in the comments below after the strip. I mean, I've been actually watching a lot of Ninjan, who does some really, really great paint work and really apparently him and Miniac are like best buds. And I don't know, Miniac's stuff is really good. I like his stuff. But Ninjan's been explaining things in such a way that it like clicks for me a lot better. I don't know, just the way he describes things as he's painting them, it makes sense to me more. Some of Miniac's tutorials are really, really, really good, but Ninjan's been actually scratching an itch for me that I haven't had lately. And I just found out Jazza. If you don't know who Jazza is this amazing art, just straight up art channel on YouTube. But I just found out he has a second channel that's dedicated to tabletop gaming, and he's been doing D&D with his friends. But apparently late last year, middle of last year, he fell into Warhammer big time, and he's just like, and been doing all kinds of mini tutorials and terrain tutorials and basing tutorials. And I mean, Jazz is amazing to begin with, but his stuff is really, really good. He's got such good energy. And again, I love his art channel. So finding out that he's a big nerd too is just awesome. Also, Miscast Terrain. It just goes by Miscast these days. I think the channel though is officially still Miscast Terrain. He has been delving into doing like kit bashing and modeling and scratch building stuff like crazy lately. And he's come up with a fun game to play with other people that you know, where you get together with this deck of cards and everybody draws. There are only 2 US-based kit manufacturers. Really? Huh. Who are those 2 makers, Al? For those of us that like model kits, that's a big deal to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's something about Japanese kits that I have a hard time not. Craft room burning diorama is excellent. Nerdforge I'm familiar with. He does good stuff. I like Nerdforge. Yeah, when you get a chance, I'd like to know who those two manufacturers are, because I'll put a link to them here, because I mean that's important. But what was I saying? Jazza, he's now doing tabletop stuff, and it's just crazy good. Miscast. So what he does is you get together a bunch of people, and there's these cards. And then it's a stack of cards to start with, and then everybody draws like 10 more cards, and you pass them around to everybody else. So everybody's got these 10 cards. So if there's like 6 people doing it, each you draw up 10 cards, and you add them in this deck to every other person's deck. So that's 60 more cards. You get this big deck, and then you shuffle it up, and you draw 7 cards. Salvinos and Atlantis models. Okay. All right, we'll have to get some links up to them. I'll have to dig them up, because that's definitely cool. Yeah, you were telling me about it. Like the guys that I used to really like, they used to be in Iowa. They're all in Germany now, aren't they? I do. I listen. I pay attention. Really, I do. But you take these cards, you shuffle these cards in your hand, and everybody has their own deck, and you pull out 7, and you show them to each other. And the idea is that you kit bash a monster, like a monster, whether you do it by drawing it, or you make a figure of it, or you make a sculpture of it, but you all do this, create this monster from the cards you draw. And you got to incorporate the different ideas that are in those cards. So it's a really cool, interesting idea. I really dig it a lot. So Miscast Terrain. So I will definitely put some links up down below about who we've talked about tonight. Let me grab a pen. Or do even better. Grab me a screenshot. All right. Excellent. So I can note that. Okay, well, at least because I'm a big fan of Monogram and Ravel. I mean, I just always have been. So that's good to know. So we are going to wrap up for the night. So the last thing we're going to do, as per always, final thought. Try new stuff. I'm definitely trying some new stuff and trying some new ideas. Doing some paint ideas here. So, and trying some model kit bashing. I've got a kit that I pulled out that I'm trying to do some work on and trying to kit bash some stuff with it. So do stuff that's different, do stuff that's new. Don't get stuck in a rut. So there's that. That's my advice to you for the night. And then we're going to quick give a shout out to all of my 10 lovely Patreons. Your guys' support keeps me in paint, glue, and new paintbrushes and resin lately. I haven't been printing as much lately. As you notice, the printer's not on. After printing this bad boy, I'm taking a break to get this thing done before I just start printing some more stuff. So I want to give a big shout out. So we're going to start off with our Battle Brother level patrons, which are Mini Warmutt and Inquisitor Zane. And then I want to jump to our Battle Leader tier, which are Wolf Brother Mythos, Wolf Brother Hellchild, Heinrich Botha, Greg Tesh, and Joe Bookish. A bunch of guys that are fun to hang out with, fun to talk with, and you too can come babble with us in my Discord anytime. We love to babble, chat, and just talk about fun stuff when I'm around. And even when not, they have their own conversations without me, and man, they are wild. Lastly, we've got our Warlord tier patrons. So we have the Ultimate Smash Captain, my guy out of Portland, with his brand new frozen 3D printer, James Meeks. I got my brother from another mother, the man with the beard, the amazing, coming in from high orbit, the Commodore. And lastly, I've got my lovely niece, the wonderful painter, amazing photographer, and just a joy to be around. Such a lovely young lady. Her mom and dad produced something very special. And then they had her. The lovely Flight of the Phoenix. Other than that, I want to say thank you to everyone else that showed up tonight. Alex Drake, my brother, I love you and miss you so much. Your insight is always welcome and always needed. We've got Tina Raven and Ben Carrasquillo, a couple of good friends, a couple of good people. We've got Zane, who is gone. Unfortunately, he is gone. We got the Commodore. He's still here. My man, Commodore. Kami. Oh, so great. I don't even know who else is in here. There's some other people in here, and I'm glad you're in here. Oh, Meeks was in here. I don't know if he still is. So we're going to wrap it up for the night. I'm going to ask y'all to hit that like button. Hit that like button. Let's let YouTube know I'm doing a good job and that I'm producing content that people find enjoyable. But then also, that's only a little bit of it. You know, there's subscribing, there's ringing that bell, there's all that. But leaving comments, that's a big deal. That's apparently where that's the new hotness in YouTube. And that's the new way that the algorithm checks things. So if you found this entertaining, hit that up button. But afterwards, once it's up or it's in the library, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me talk about something. Talk about some stuff. Let's start a conversation and start for a conversation for next week. So thank you all, you lovely people. You're wonderful. You're amazing. And you really brighten my day. Epic your table. Epic your board. Epic your game. And epic your life. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.